Good evening, good evening. Welcome to Life Enhancement and Development Live. I'm your host, Dr. Cassandra Washington, and it is indeed a pleasure to be with you all this Thursday evening. We have something wonderful to continue to talk to you about, and that is our discussion on last week, our topic on last week titled Finding Your Niche, Doing What You Love, Creating Wealth for Yourself while helping others. And tonight we want to do a recap of what we talked about on last week and just add a few things to that. But this topic is so important to me because during this time in this season where we are in this world, there are a lot of things going on and there are a lot of changes going on. And of course, some of the changes that we are experiencing are within us. And we see, as one of them being myself, that people are trying to find ways to take better care of themselves while at the same time being able to spend time with their families and make life just more productive, more fulfilling. And so, that's why I wanted to talk about finding your niche, finding that thing that is so unique to you, your ability, your skills, something that you can do so well that will allow you to live a fulfilled life and at the same time generate wealth and be a blessing to others. So, on last week, we had with us one of my dear friends, Bernadette Hicks Kelly. She is a transformation coach, she is a business consultant, and she is a life coach. And she's with me on this show, on this program often, and we often talk about things that are important to life enhancement and development. That is social skills, critical thinking skills, life skills, things that will help make your life better as an individual, a business, a family, a group, whatever area you need to be developed or your life needs to be more fulfilled or enhanced. That's what we're about. So we're about connecting you with the right people, the right resources, the right tools and strategies to help you live the best life, the most productive life that you can. And with this topic that we're talking about, this is one way where we can take control of our lives, that we can be in charge of our destiny. And that is creating financial freedom and creating wealth, generating wealth for yourself. And in finding your niche, and when we're talking about a niche, we're talking about that ability, that passion, or that purpose, or that skill that you are can do so well that you can take, and maybe you didn't know that you had, but you discover it and you use it to make your life more fulfilling. On our discussion last week, we were talking about something that we saw on television on Good Morning America that accentuated or that referred to the very thing that we were talking about is the number of Americans who are going part-time or going into entrepreneurship themselves. And it was said that the report was given from the Department of Labor, U.S. Department of Labor, and from the Wall Street Journal. And it says that most of before December 2022 and January 2023, 857,000 people were working part time or going into entrepreneurship. But by December 2022 and January 2023, that number increased to 1.2 million people, almost double. So people are trying to, we were talking about how COVID helped people to see that they could do something better, that they really could have a prosperous life and a wonderful life, not working full time. And when we say part time, we're talking about 35 hours of work during the work week or less. How you doing, Esther? Thank you for joining me, classmate. And so it was also saying that the reason why these people had decided to go into part-time work or to go into entrepreneurship is because of burnout from their jobs, or they were not happy with their jobs, or they were looking for something more fulfilling in life. They wanted to focus on their family, and they realized those things that they had been doing on the side, those hobbies, could generate wealth for them. And so they took that leap of faith. They took that courage, gathered that courage, and stepped out on faith, and they began to use that skill that they had that they didn't know that they had to begin to develop and create the life that they wanted for themselves. And so it also said, the report that said that out of the 160 million Americans who are gainfully employed, about 16% of those people are working part-time. So people are trying to find a way to make life easier, more fulfilling for themselves. And of course, I wanted to do the same thing. That's why I left my job and went into entrepreneurship. And so we were talking about on last week some of the things that you need to consider, some of the things that you need to think about when you're deciding to go into part-time work or into entrepreneurship. Now, we talked about what a niche is. It's an ability or skill or passion that you have that fits you uniquely. And that's why in this illustration, we got these two items where they're clicking together, they fit. So when we talk about a niche, we're talking about something that is unique to you, an ability or skill or ability or passion that you have that is unique to you, that fits you. And these are some things that we were saying that you should consider. If you decide that you want to go part-time, you must and take that skill and discover that skill that you have. And so that's the first thing, that you must do. You must determine and you must be clear on what it is that I can do. What skill is it that I have that I can take and I can use and generate wealth for myself, while at the same time, being able to serve other people or help other people. And so we were also talking about that there's a mindset that you have to have in order to make this transition. There's a mindset that you have to have if you're going to make the transition from a full-time employment, because when you're in full-time employment, every week you're going to get that check. Every week that check is coming at the same time, on time. You know how much money it's going to be. That's if you're in a regular job. I know people who are working for commission, it may vary. But if you're working a regular job, 40 hours a week, that paycheck is going to come every week or every 2 weeks, and you pretty much know how much money you're going to have. But when you're deciding to go to part-time, then that's different, and it's going to take a different mindset. If you're going to go into entrepreneurship, that's different. It's going to take a different mindset, because you're no longer depending on someone else to give you the opportunity to make money. You're going to probably have to rely on yourself more to generate the financial wealth and the time that you need in order to build the financial freedom that you desire, that you see for yourself. And so you have to have a certain kind of mindset. And I say this all the time. If you believe something, you're definitely going to follow that. Your actions are going to line up with what you believe. And if you believe that you can do it, whatever it is that you want to do, if you believe that you can do it, then you're going to pursue it. Your thinking has to line up with what it is that you see or what it is that you want. And then when your thinking lines up with that, then you're going to be doing something different. Excuse me, you want to do things differently. So it has to start in your mind. It has to start in your mind first. You have to make up your mind. You have to make a decision that this is what I'm going to do. And you have to be sure and confident of that. And you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you can do it. We talked about the mindset. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you can do it. You have to know that you have what it takes. You have to know that whatever it is that you need is already on the inside of you. You have the skill and you have the ability to do it. And the transformation coach is on here tonight, Bernadette. Here's Kelly. Thank you for being on. So and feel free to put comments in the chat. We are doing a recap of what we talked about on last week. And so you have to believe that you can do it. And we also talked about that you have to change your perspective. You have to change your perspective. You have to change the way that you see things. I often say this: if I can invest my time and my skill into someone else's business, why can't I invest it into myself? If I can put in the 8 hours a day, the 40 hours a week, why can't I put in 5 hours, 20 hours a week for myself to invest in my own my own ideas, to invest in my dream, to invest in what I want to do. If I can make somebody else wealthy, why can't I take my skills, my talents, my knowledge, my abilities, and generate wealth and freedom for myself? Bernadette talked about last week what motivated her to go into business for herself and entrepreneurship for herself. And it was when a gentleman that hired her as a consultant to work for him decided that he would marry her coworker. And that coworker, when she married her boss, was able to go to the gym whenever she got ready and go out and do volunteer work when she wanted to. And she came in one day and her hair was wet because she had just, left the gym, or she had just finished doing what she wanted to do. And Bernadette called that her wet hair moment. But that was a moment for her when the light bulb came on, when it clicked. Hey, I'm here 8 hours a day, and these two people have joined together and they're living their best life. They're living the life that they want. But I'm here working for them 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, helping to make them prosperous and rich. And she loved her job, but it was a light bulb moment. If they can do it, I can do it too. And so we were talking about if you're thinking about doing this, if you're thinking about going into part-time work, or if you're planning on going into entrepreneurship, or if you're planning on just coming home, we were talking about during the pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people lost their jobs and their perspective had to change. We talked about perspective. The perspective had to change. This was an opportunity. You have to see it as an opportunity. So if you decide to go into part-time work or into entrepreneurship, you have to realize that this is an opportunity. If things have changed, or you're no longer satisfied, or things are not working out the way that you want to, your life is not going the way you want to, then do something about it. Take responsibility for your life. Do something about it. Yes, ma'am. That wet hair moment changed her life, she said. So you have to do something about it. And so in making that transition, we talked about what a niche is. It's your abilities, a skill that you have that is specific to you. So you have to look within yourself and evaluate yourself. What is it that I can do? What is it that I can do? And when you find out what it is that you can do, what it is that you have, I'm often think about when I was looking at this, and when I was reflecting on our conversation last week, and thinking about what is that skill, what is that ability that you have, what is it that you can do. I reminded of the biblical scripture when God told Moses, what is it in your hand? What do you have in your hand? What is it that you have in your hand? What is it that you have within yourself? What are your skills? Evaluate yourself. What is it that you're good at? And so when we were talking about how can a person tell what is it that they have that they're good at, our transformation coach shared with us one thing that people can do. I talked about, writing down things, and she also shared that why not ask a very close friend, someone who's around you, or 2 or 3 people who are around you, who know you very well, and ask them, what am I good at? And I did that once when I was taking a leadership class. A couple of my friends, I asked them to tell me, tell me, what is it that you think I'm good at, and what is it that I can work on? And I told them to be very candid, to be very honest with me. And they were. And I took those things in consideration. And I found that, those things were truthful. It showed me what I needed to work on, especially moving into entrepreneurship, what it is that I need to work on. What is it that I need to improve? What is it that I need to hone? What are some things that I need to habits that I need to get rid of? So that was those were 2 things that we talked about in discovering what is it that you were good at, and what skills can you take and develop in order to move into part-time work or into entrepreneurship. And so that was one of the things that I liked, that she said, get some close friends to evaluate you and tell you the truth, the good and the bad, because you need to know those things, your strengths and your weaknesses. You need to know those things. And then we also talked about if you're going to go into part-time work or entrepreneurship, and you find out what that skill or ability is there a strong need for what you do? Is there a strong need for this skill or this service that you want to provide? Is there a lot of competition out there? And if there is a lot of competition out there, what makes you unique from everybody else who's doing that? And is there a demand for what it is that you want to do? And will this satisfy you on a personal and professional level? So when you're looking at that skill and when you are evaluating yourself and when you're trying to find out what is my niche, what is this skill, what is this ability, what is this passion that I have that I can use that I work really, really, really well at, but I can take it and generate wealth and really be a blessing or help others. That's one of the things that you need to consider. Is there a need for this skill? Is there a need for this ability? Is there a need for this product or service? And so when you begin to do that, when you sit down and do that and evaluate that, then you know that you can move forward in it. There are some things that you need to make sure you put in place. And so we also talked about that. She shared some things about that. So we talked about having the right mindset, and then you develop a plan to make the transition where you have decided, I'm good at this. I'm good at this. And there were some things that we specifically named. We talked about speaking, being able to speak, cook, write. And I think some other things that I had on there were lawn. If you're a person who likes landscaping, get into lawn care. If whatever it is, if you like working with children and youth, there are some things that you need to sit down and do. And if you're working in a manufacturing company and you decide that you want to start working with children or youth, there are some things that you need to consider when you are getting ready to transition. And so one of those things that we talked about, you have to develop a plan for the transition. Just don't go out flying by the seat of your pants. And that's one thing that she said, sometimes she didn't fly by the seat of her pants, but she quit her job. And for some of us, we may not, necessarily be able to just quit our jobs, but you need to have a plan for the transition into place. You need to have a plan and a path to take on your way to what it is that you are trying to do. So you need to develop a plan. And when you develop the plan, you need to be confident and clear in what you want to do. And then when you develop the plan, when you sit down to develop your plan, you have to put some strategies in place that you can implement to make the transition successful. Things that you can do that you will definitely follow through on. And so there were some things that she named. One of the main things was, before you make that decision, if you're married, if you have children, if someone in your life is depending on you in any form or fashion, sit down and have a conversation with those persons, with those people in your life, to let them know what it is it's on your mind, that's in your heart to do. And when you sit down with them and let them know, you have to put it out there so they won't be blindsided. I remember I was listening to a gentleman. He was a pastor and he was working a very good job. His wife and family was depending on him for the financial responsibility and all the finances in the home. And he decided that he wanted to go into full-time ministry. Well, he jumped up and did it without consulting his wife. And guess what? His wife left him. She didn't understand, what was going on. And she didn't understand him quitting the job. And she was used to a certain lifestyle. And because of that lifestyle had to change. And so that was one thing that we talked about. Sit down and talk to the persons in your life, the persons that you are responsible for, or the persons who will be impacted by this decision, and let them know, talk to them about it. And so you may not transition from part-time into entrepreneurship all at once by quitting your job. You may keep your full-time job and decide to do that on the side. And so if you decided to do that way, that's fine. That's what I did for a long time. I stayed at work, but what I did was I took some of my paycheck and put it into savings every time I got paid. And that's one thing that the transformation coach talked to us about too. Pay things up for 6 months to a year if you can, and put something in savings. So that may take a year. It may take a year and a half. It take you a little while before actually making the transition. But guess what? You have a plan in place. So you're working your full-time job, but you're doing your other work on the side. That thing that you decided that you're going to use to to continue to support yourself when you go part-time or to go into entrepreneurship. Another thing that we talked about was cutting your spending. Cut your spending and get a plan for when you need to go out and buy grocery or buy clothes. I know when I go out to buy grocery, and this is one thing that Bernadette talked about, I make a list, because if you don't make a list, you will walk through, especially if you go to Walmart, you will walk through that store and you will find things that you didn't need, that thought you need, or things that look good, and you put it in the basket. And when you get to that register, you will have spent, much more than you had planned to. And then you end up getting things that you didn't need, and the things that you really need, you forgot. And then you have to come back. And every time you come back, you spend more than what you had planned to spend. So be consistent about making a list when you have to go to the store. Be consistent about what it is that you're going in there to do. And make sure that you are strategic when it comes to your money. So we were saying you need to cut spending. I like to say, one of my affirmations that I say every day: money is my servant, which means I tell money what to do. I'm the leader of my money. I tell my money what to do. Money is my servant. You have to learn how to use it, and you have to make up your mind that it's not going to rule me. I'm going to be the leader and the ruler of my money. And so another thing we talked about is eliminating debt. Some people like to start when you have the credit cards and these type of things. Credit cards are good tools. You just have to know how to use them. But if you have and with the inflation and the interest rates on credit cards now, I will advise you and encourage you, and it is the right thing to do, to pay those credit card bills down. Some people like to start and have some people have more than one, and they like to start with the ones that have the largest interest rates. Some people like to start with the smallest bill and pay it. Whichever way you decide to do it. You just have to make a decision that I'm going to eliminate this debt, and at the same time try to build a savings. Put away whatever you can. If it's $5, $10, whatever is unique to you and your paycheck and your money, then that is how you determine what it is that you're going to how it is that you're going to do. And so those are some of the strategies. Another strategy is learn to manage your time. Learn to manage your time. If you're going to be working full time, then when you get home and you take care of all the other things, you may have a husband, children, family, and you take care of those things, but you have to set aside some time to invest and work on what's important to you. Invest some time into your schedule. And this means discipline. It means discipline. I had a friend who was working full time, but she also had a business, and she was talking about how hard it was, having children, two small children. And I said, what I would do, and it may work for you, but I know what I did when I would come home from work, and that's what I would do. I would work on it, and it may mean, as they say, burning the midnight oil a little more. You may have to wait until the children go to bed, and then for 2 or 3 hours work on your stuff, work on what's important to you. And then you have to prioritize. You have to say, look, this is important to me. I have to invest in myself. Like I said, it's going to take a different mindset. You got to be diligent. We talked about discipline a few weeks ago. You got to be disciplined. You have to be diligent. You have to be consistent. And it's all a part of preparation. You got to be prepared. You have to keep your focus on where it is that you are going. And so, when you evaluate yourself, when you evaluate what it is that I have, I think about when the lady in the Bible who went to the prophet and told him, look, they're going to sell my sons. My husband has died. I have debt. They're going to sell my sons. He said, what is it that you have? What is it that you have? What is it that you have? She said, well, I have a little oil. He said, go and borrow vessels. Borrow as many vessels as you can. And he said, when you go in, you close the door, you fill those vessels with the oil. And she did that. And she told her sons, when she filled one vessel, she said, bring me another. They filled That one, she said, bring me another one until all the vessels was filled. And she went to him. She said, I've done what you told me to do. I've filled the vessels. I've done what you told me to do. What I have, I've figured it out. I pulled it out and I'm working it. He said, now go sell what you have. Go sell what you have. And she was able to sell that oil, and she was able to pay off the debt, and she and her sons were able to live off of it. And this information that we're sharing with you, you may have heard it before, but hearing and doing are two different things. Hearing and doing are two different things. And so I believe that we're not really telling you, this may be new to some people, but I think that we're not really telling you anything new. We're just reminding you and encouraging you to do it. And nothing will be done until you make the decision to do it. So I want to encourage you, make the decision. Make the decision to do it. Yes, the transformation coach said, just pay it off. Just pay it off and keep on. Keep chipping away at it. I know it can be done. I've done it more than once. I know it can be done. You can do it. Just keep chipping away at it. If you're not the type of person that has the ability to just start with the big debts, start with the small ones. And I'm telling you, take baby steps. Start with the small ones. Pay them off one at a time, and you will see progress. And when you see the progress, it's going to motivate you and encourage you even more to keep going, to keep doing until you wipe it out. That's what I said, wipe it out. And I also talked about knowing your strengths and weaknesses. Now, what are some things that you can do to generate capital? And we talked about this also on last week. And I'm sure you all, those of you who watched, remember when Bernadette talked about she was at her job and her job was buying these big Easter baskets. But then they were saying, they wanted to do something different. They wanted to make, I don't know, it may not have been Easter baskets, but they were baskets that were being made and created at her job. And so they wanted to, they wanted to continue to make the baskets, but they were trying to do I don't know, Bernadette, you probably can put in the comments what happened. I don't know if the person that was making them couldn't make them anymore, but anyway, the opportunity came up where they needed someone to make baskets, and she had her eyes and her ears open because at that time she needed money. She needed to generate some income. So she had her eyes and her ears open, and she heard that there was a need being broadcast. There was a need being made known, and she capitalized on that need. Well, did she know how to make baskets? She knew how to do some things, but guess what she did? She collaborated with another person who could make them pretty, who could help fix them up. And she went and told the person, listen, I need you to help me make baskets. And she gave the person a part of the profit. Collaboration and partnership will help make things work and will help cut down on costs. And you have to do things to cut down on your overhead. You don't just go out and try to get a building. If you cannot afford a building, don't go out and get a building. You don't want to eat up your profit, and you don't want to eat up the capital that you do have. So keep your eyes and your ears open for opportunities, and then keep your eye, and then collaborate with someone else who has a skill, who's looking to utilize their skills to build wealth from themselves. If you're trying to have a business and you need someone to make flyers for you, well, then if you know someone who's pretty good at graphics and they can charge, they charge much less than going to a company, why don't you tell them, hey, let me hire you to do my flyers for me, or to do some business cards or whatever for me, and I will pay you the $10 for 25 or whatever. But collaborate with other people for their skill sets, and you come together. And that's a way that you can kind of find ways to get your business started. I'm reminded of Dr. Miles Monroe when he was talking about this very thing. A young lady didn't have any money, and she came to him crying about the fact that she didn't have any money, and she could bake cookies. She was such a good baker. He said, well, do you have a stove? And she said, yeah. He said, get in there and bake those cookies and sell those cookies. You got a stove. You have a stove in your house. Go and make the cookies and bake the cookies in your stove at your house and sell those cookies. And that young lady did that, and it turned into a profitable business. We just have to take the time to see what it is that we have. And another thing we talked about is that when you do begin to make your profit, don't eat your profit. Don't eat your profits and don't spend it up. Reinvest it in what you're doing. Make yourself better. Make yourself better. Make your product better. Make your services better. Reinvest in what you're doing. And Bernadette said, and they wanted something unique, and baskets were unique at that time. Yes, they needed large baskets for their clients, and baskets were unique at the time, and they really were, and baskets still are. They can, beautiful. People make sweet treats. When we did, she and I did the lunch conference three in 2020, 3 years ago. There were vendors that we had there who had these little sweet treats, and they had them fixed up so pretty in the little packaging. All of these things make your product and your service more attractive, and that's what draws people. That will draw people to invest in what you're doing. And so the last thing that I want to talk about that we shared was mental preparedness. You got to be mentally prepared for whatever challenges may come. We talked about challenges one week, but you have to be mentally prepared for whatever challenges may come, because when you are stepping out and taking responsibility for yourself financially, into decreasing from full-time work to part-time work, going into entrepreneurship, you're going to have some challenges. Everything is not going to be smooth. You're going to run into some challenges and obstacles, but you got to have your mind mentally prepared. Start with daily prayer and meditation. Start your day out with daily prayer and meditation, and this is a part of preparation. That's right. You must be mentally prepared for success. You have to be mentally prepared for success. So for me, and that's one thing she and I often talk about when we're on here and other guests, you have to start your day out with getting mentally prepared, getting some preparation, being in a quiet place, getting still so you can hear what you need to do for that day. I think she was on here one time and she was saying, I need a word for the day. I need a word for every day. So you have to be mentally prepared for the challenges. And then you have to have the right perspective about failure. For so long, people talk to us about failure, made us feel so bad about failure, but failure will help you to know what direction you need to go into. If you went in that direction and it didn't work out, then failure says, okay, that wasn't the right thing to do. You need to go in and take another direction. And there's nothing wrong with sitting down to take evaluation of yourself. Take evaluation of yourself. Take evaluation of the things and the actions that you're taking and things that you're doing, so you'll know what you need to correct, what you need to improve. Take some time every day to build yourself up. That's what the prayer and the meditation does. It helps you to build yourself up for what may come throughout the day. Take some time to prepare yourself. Take some time to get yourself together. And then, when challenges and obstacles come in your way and things come and make you feel like quitting, people may be saying negative things, all kinds of things. We talked about that too when we were talking about the different types of skills or the different types of areas people may want to go into. And she talked about how people may tell you can't do that, or that's not for you. Well, you're going to have to be able to have yourself mentally prepared to be able to ignore that and to let that, as the old people say, let it roll off you like water rolling off a duck's back. So you have to be able to have yourself mentally prepared, because a lot of times those kinds of criticism, negative comments come from people who are close around you, family members. Sometimes they mean well, but they talk out of fear. They're projecting their fear onto you, and you have to be mentally prepared to say, no. I'm not going to receive that. I'm not going to walk in fear. I'm going to keep moving in faith and courage, and I'm going to be consistent. And then for me, one of the things that you need to remember your why. Why are you doing this? Why did you decide to do this in the first place? Did you decide to do it because you want to spend more time with your family? Did you do it because you wanted to become financially independent or develop more financial freedom? Why did you do it? Did you do it for your children? Did you do it because you wanted to leave a great legacy? You want to build a great legacy? That's right. Know your why. Why am I doing this? Why did I step out and do this in the first place? So you need to remind yourself of your why. And of course, you need your champions around you, your support system around you. You need the people around you to say, hey, come on, you can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. You can do it. I'm thankful for the people that I have around me. There is not many, but they are strong. 2 or 3, but they are strong. They are strong and they're consistent in supporting me and telling me, hey, I got you. You can do this. And not only just saying positive things to encourage me, praying for me, calling and checking on me, say, hey, how's it going? This and giving me ideas or giving me resources, directing me toward resources to help me improve or to do to enhance and become better in what it is that I'm doing. So of course you need your champions around you to help you to celebrate your wins. And even when you have your failures, tell you, come on, get up. We're not going to let you wallow in what has happened. We're going to sit down and evaluate what it is that you need to do and to encourage you. Celebrate the wins. Don't get stuck in the failures. Keep it moving. Either way, when you have something that you have accomplished, don't get stuck in that. Keep moving. If you have something that maybe didn't go well, don't get stuck there. Keep moving. And decide that you're not going to quit. Decide, make a decision that no matter what, I'm not going to quit. Evaluate what you're doing right, what you can do better, and what you need to eliminate, what you need to stop doing. Those are the things that you need to do in your mental preparedness. And if you just make up your mind that you are not going to quit, I say this all the time at the end of almost every live for the past few weeks, you're going to love the way that you look. You're going to be satisfied. You're going to see yourself realize and walk in what it is that you want for yourself. You just have to have your mind made up. You have to have a plan. You have to be consistent in implementing your strategies in your plan, and you cannot quit. Don't give up. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Bernadette Hicks Kelly, our transformation coach, for joining me tonight to help me to do a recap and to expound upon some of the things that we have been talking about. But I want to encourage you. You have something awesome and great within you. And some of us, you may be saying, I don't know what that is. Well, get in that quiet, still place that I talked about. Get into that place of quietness and ask God, because you need his help. We need his help to do everything. He's the one who made us. He knows all about us. He knows what you have, even some things that you may not be aware of. And another thing that I often talk about too is that if you really don't know what it is that you're good at, get out sometimes and volunteer. Something that interests you, go out sometimes and volunteer. Or if you see somebody needing help with something, and you know that you're good, if you're good at typing, I think Bernadette talked about, she really never thought that she would get into resume writing, but someone asked her to look at their resume, and she did, and she helped them with their resume, and found out that was a skill that she had, that she was very good at. And so now she makes it a part of her consulting piece. So there's nothing wrong with, sitting down, evaluating yourself, doing some things, doing different things, trying different things to find out, what is my niche? What skill is it that I have? What is it that I have to offer that really makes me happy, and that at the same time I can use it to generate wealth, and I can help other people, be a blessing to others. And I believe and I know that when you do that, you will move into a life that's more fulfilling, a life that you love. You will say, as the Clark sisters say, I like living this kind of life. I'm living a blessed life. So that's what we want for you here at Life Enhancement and Development. We want you to live a blessed life, a fulfilled and productive life. Well, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And just think about it. Just think about, what is it that I want my life to be? And what is that dream that you have on the inside? Take the time to sit down, to get in a quiet place and listen. And you will hear and you will get that guidance and direction. You all have a great night, and thank you for joining us at Life Enhancement and Development Live. And we look forward to seeing you again on next week to share with you. Good night and God bless.